Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at Six Strings Nine Lives, back for a CD vinyl update. I got 3 new releases to show you. One you'll know right away. It's dominating the charts right now, the #1 hard rock album. You'll know that one right away, but we'll talk a little bit about it and a couple other new releases. And then actually there's a couple of gifts here and some other pickups. A couple of CDs that were sent to me from YouTube friends, and which reminds me, stay away, or if you've seen this Trap Town bullshit that is commenting on your videos, you know what? Tell them to, rotate, because what a joke. Anyways, be careful of that. Don't be subbing to, shit like that. You just don't need that. Apparently they will try to tap into your information and stuff like that. But anyway, stay away from that. First up today, like I said, the #1 album, and it's an album that actually, when I first heard Zakk Wylde was not going to be on this album, it kind of deflated me a bit, and I was just like, and I heard the first single, Under the Graveyard, I think, was the first single from Ozzy's album, the new album, 12th studio album, if you count his covers album, Undercover or Undercovers. I don't have that one, but so anyways, 12th studio album. But when I heard Zakk wasn't on it, I kind of dismissed it right away. I just was like, really? Why isn't he on it? Is he busy? Is he, what happened? Under the Graveyard was a, pretty deep, or was it actually, I think Straight to Hell was the first single, possibly. Anyways, Under the Graveyard was that song has actually grown on me. It's pretty decent. Ordinary Man with Elton John, not bad at all. And my favorite song on this album is called Scary Little Green Men. Now, is it is it going to be your favorite Ozzy album? Probably not. For me, I think the first 6 Ozzy albums are my, that's where it's at for me. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Ozzy Osbourne fan in the world, but I'm definitely a fan. He's done so many great things. Black Sabbath, solo albums. But anyways, out of the first 6, I don't know what I would pick. Maybe No More Tears, or, geez. I actually, I haven't really thought that much about it, but those first 6 albums are kind of where it's at for me. Anyways, like I said, yeah, it's grown on me a bit. I took Scott the Rock Scout's advice and spun it multiple times, and kind of trying to go in on it with a clean slate. And you know what, it's not as bad as well, it's not bad at all actually, but it's not what you would be expecting is what I'm saying. But go give it a chance. And obviously, if you've heard it already, what do you think about it? Is it a good album? You know what? Let's see what we're all doing at 71 years old, and then we'll talk. But it's still nice that Ozzy is still putting out new music. He's not on, just relying on what he's done in the past. And anyways, it's been 10 years since the last album, actually. And, and those, like I said, after the 6th album, kind of a big drop-off for me anyways with Ozzy and the studio albums. But you know what? He's probably got a whole new fan base going now, and whatever. I definitely could do without this Post Malone stuff. Not a fan whatsoever. There's a bonus song on the CD with Post Malone and Travis Scott, and the song It's a Raid. Basically, you could take those 2 songs off for me. Not interested. But the rest of the album, not terrible. It's actually pretty decent. So anyways, enough about that one. Next up is a band that I've been following for years. Definitely an acquired taste. They're not for everybody. They're just a fun blue-collar band. They really kind of re-exploded, per se, with their movie This Is the Story of Anvil a few years back. And that was right around their 13th album called This Is 13. And this is their new release. And first on AFM Records, this is Anvil, Legal at Last. Now here in Canada where I am, there, marijuana and whatever was legalized in the past, couple of years or whatever. So kind of a ridiculous cover, really. But, it's Anvil. It's all tongue-in-cheek. They don't take themselves too seriously. And, you know what you're getting with Anvil, put it that way. So here's the back cover. Like I said, this is their first release on AFM Records. They were on SPV Steamhammer for their past 2 albums. And if I had to do a quick comparison of these last 3 albums, Anvil is Anvil, Pounding the Pavement, and then this one. This is their best work out of the 3 albums. That's just my first observation of listening to this album 4 times. The lyrics are always, there's a certain amount of cheese that comes with Lips's lyrics and his songwriting as far as that goes. The guitar riffs are great. And if you know who Rob Reiner is, he is a fantastic drummer. He is just, he's definitely the anchor in the rhythm section. And they got a great bass player too. So, I mean, when you're a 3-piece and you're live, you have to have a good rhythm section, especially during guitar solos and stuff like that. So anyways, Legal at Last just came out, 1 or 2 weeks ago. There was 2 songs, I think, Nabbed in Nebraska, probably another song about weed or whatever. Legal at Last. A couple of songs that I really enjoyed was I'm Alive, Glass House. Really good song, kind of a song about, how we're losing our privacy and, just like when we're on our phones and all of a sudden Amazon is suggesting you need to buy some dish soap or something. It's kind of creepy. That's kind of what that song's about. Definitely, yeah, like I said, check out Anvil. It's one of their better albums here in the last few for sure. Next up, I picked up, and this was all sparked when I picked up this album by Heathen. I showed you this one already. Their comeback album, The Evolution of Chaos. Oh, awesome album. Definitely pick that up. And then I saw their first was available on Century Media. This is Heathen's very first album from 1987 called Breaking the Silence. And this is a reissue. And I really like these reissues. They put a little bit of bonus feature. These are Century Media reissues. So if you're familiar with the Nuclear Assault reissues or the Forbidden reissues, same thing with this. Anyways, prior to buying The Evolution of Chaos, I've never heard the first 2 Heathen albums. This one is really a solid album. I was thinking, first of all, with a band like Heathen, and some of these bands that just made it big, I think timing is a lot to do with it. Obviously your record label promoting you properly. And I just feel like Heathen is one of those bands that just obviously didn't get the recognition they deserved. They just kind of slipped through the cracks, because this is phenomenal. I'm going to show you another album right away. What a great album. Goblin's Blade, Open the Grave, Breaking the Silent. There's a Sweet cover of, no, is that Sweet? Yeah, Sweet, Set Me Free. They do a really good heavy cover of that. Breaking the Silence. Yeah, the whole album's great. And then shortly after I did that video, and I was saying earlier that I got a couple of gifts here to show you. A friend from the States, his name is Steve, reached out to me and said, I have an extra copy of Heathen, Victims of Deception. Would you like it? And I'm like, wow, that is very nice of you. First of all, it is a really difficult album to get at a decent price. I've seen them from $40 to $200. So, thank you very much, Steve. He sent me out a Japanese pressing of Heathen Victims of Deception. And this is the logo that I love that they, this is on their second album here, and it's on the Evolution of Chaos too. Anyways, what an album. This is probably my favorite out of the three, although the newest one is phenomenal too. Steve said to me, I hope you don't mind, it doesn't have the Obi strip. Not a big deal. I don't really care there. That doesn't matter. I sure like these white trays. That's very cool. Anyways, I will show you this. There's the CD. Just in great shape. I am just so thankful, Steve, that you sent this my way. And that I finally caught on to Heathen, because like I said before, wow, I don't know how some of these bands just didn't get bigger. And Heathen is definitely one of them. I know Lee Altus is pretty busy now with Exodus, but I hope they put another album out, because it's like I said, this one is wow. Yeah, pick that up for sure. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's this came with the Anvil thing, Anvil, and little advertisement there. There's that newer DAD album. I haven't heard it yet. I've been meaning to check it out. I just haven't got around to it. A couple other things on here. This Iron Savior album, Kill or Get Killed, really good album. And I see another band that I recognize here from Bev Clarkovision's videos, Bloodbound, another kind of, I don't know if they're kind of epic power metal or just straight power metal. Anyways, AFM always does a great job with their releases. Next up, when I switched over, I wanted to show you one more new release here that I just got this the other day. I'm a huge fan of this guy and his main band, and this is, believe it or not, his first solo album that he's ever done, and that is Biff Byford from Saxon, School of Hard Knocks. Definitely just right up my alley. This is a really good album. There's the track listing. The vinyl does not have the song Scarborough Fair on it. The CD does. I did order the CD, it just hasn't arrived yet. Pretty cool gatefold there. Little sketch of all the guys that he played in this band with, which are, you'll know some of the names, I believe, or well, actually, he had, on a couple of these songs, he had written them with Nibs Carter, who is the bass player for Saxon. Let me quickly just show you the vinyl, and we'll just talk about a couple of tracks. Here is the vinyl. Center ring is white on A side. B side is black. This one is on silver lining. Same label as Saxon. And yeah, just if you are into Saxon, you're going to be into this album. It's on certain songs, you could say, those are easily could be on a Saxon album, like for sure the song Pedal to the Metal. That's a song about the Autobahn, if I pronounce that right. Hearts of Steel. Those are a couple that he actually wrote with Nibs Carter. And then there's, just a few that are just more laid back than a Saxon album, especially a song called Me and You. It's just kind of a nice ditty that he did with, I think he wrote that one with Paul Quinn. I see Paul's name on that. Anyways, definitely, if you're, like I said, if you're a Saxon fan, you're going to want to pick this up. A little different than listening to a Sax album, but they're definitely should be right up your alley. It also came with a one of these whatever you call them, digi cards or whatever. I got this promised to somebody, so I won't show you the code on that one. And next up, I got another friend. I know a lot of people named Paul, a lot of people named Steve, a lot of people named David. In this case, my friend Paul, also from the States, sent me a couple more CDs. I sent him a a package the other week of a few that he wanted, and he sent me these back, sent me these my way. And this one band, he keeps drilling it into me, and rightfully so, because these guys are fantastic. This is some Greek thrash metal, Suicidal Angels. This is their 7th studio album, Years of Aggression, on Noise Art Records. Thank you, Paul. Very, very nice of you to be sending this my way. Appreciate it. And here is the CD. And I said before, Paul had sent me another Suicidal Angels, what was that one called? Division of Blood. Really good album. And what I heard right away was great thrash, first of all, but was the band Exhumer. It just was chugged along just like that. Great riffs, just overall really good album. And I only spun this once so far, and it's a perfect length for a thrash album. And yes, there is such a thing as a perfect length for a thrash album. You know, somewhere like this, you know, it's got, you know, 38 minutes or, you know, maximum 45, I'd say, but even a little less on a thrash album. Quick, to the point, great songs. Check out Suicidal Angels if you haven't already. Paul also sent me a great album that I only ever had on cassette in the past, and I'm gonna still, now that he's got me fired up on this one, I need to seek out about 3 more from this band that I'm after. And I'm talking about Razor, Canada's own Razor. I believe they're from Guelph, Ontario. This is their very first album, Executioner's Song. You know, if you know the Canadian thrash scene, like Sacrifice, Infernal Majesty, Annihilator, Exciter to a point, they're more in the speed metal, but they're still, they're in there, right? Definitely check out Razor. My first exposure to Razor was the album and the song and the video. Sorry, the sun's coming through here a little bit. Evil Invaders. When I first heard Evil Invaders on Canada's Much Music, the Power Hours, like, I was blown away. This is really cool. And I bought that cassette right away. And I think it was after I had their first 3 albums on cassette, which was the third one called? Malicious Intent. And then, what else? What was it? Then that's it. I lost track of them after that, but Violent Restitution is another big album from Razor that I've heard but don't own yet. I will pick it up, that's for sure. But anyways, check out Razor's first album. Thank you again, Paul. That was very nice of you to send those 2 CDs my way. And thanks again, Steve, for sending me that Heathen album. I just love it. It's, like I said, probably one of my favorites. What do I got left here? Okay, I actually picked these up a little while ago, just forgot to show them. Prior to me doing YouTube videos, I would say overall I wasn't a huge fan of death metal. Didn't hate it or anything. I just didn't, you know, I just wasn't there yet. And over the past, you know, whatever months or whatever it's been, really got into the band Death. And I like death metal where you actually can decipher the vocals. And those of you that like something even a little harsher, not a big deal. All the power to you. And I'm not saying no to that either, because I'm still, you know, I'm trying bands like Carcass or Morbid Angel, or, you know, to that degree. But anyways, I picked up Death's Individual Thought Patterns, and this one is from, this is their 5th album from 1993. This is a reissue on Relapse Records. Out of their 7 studio albums, 6 out of 7 have been reissued on Relapse, and for whatever reason, probably because I think Metal Blade has the rights to the next one I'll show you, is probably why it never got reissued on Relapse. But anyways, this one features Of course, Chuck, Evil Chuck, you know, may he rest in peace. Awesome. This one features Andy LaRocque on guitar, Steve DiGiorgio, and Gene Hoglan on drums. So you got the Testament rhythm section on this one. Comes with a great inner. A lot of you have seen these albums, but if you, the reason I picked up these two is the price was just right. When you get an album that's in the mid 20, you know, $25 Canadian, it's that's pretty much a no-brainer. So there's the lyric sheet. It's, you know, great cardboard stock. And this one's just on black vinyl. I'll pull that out for you. You got that logo here, and then you got a really cool B-side. There's Chuck right there. Awesome photo. What a great album this is. I am more of a fan of the technical side of Death, and that taking nothing away from the first two albums, possibly three, is kind of where Spiritual Healing you could start to see some, you know, some changes. And then Human, of course, Human is just fantastic. I just love that album, and I've picked that up on vinyl too. The two I have here in that one, that makes three so far. Great album. Overactive Imagination, I love that song. Trapped in a Corner. Individual Thought Patterns, The Philosopher. There's just not much there's not much weakness on here whatsoever. It is just an awesome album. And same with this one. And I might even, I don't know, I haven't thought about how I would rank the Death albums, but this next one, and I've seen a lot of Death album rankings, and they vary quite a bit. You know, I think that's just personal, definitely just personal preference, or maybe what album you got into Death with. And me being a later fan of Death, and like I said, I really like, you know, I love albums like this next one I'll show you, and The Sound of Perseverance is awesome. Like I said, mentioned, Human's also great. I picked this one up, and this is the only one that I was telling you about that did not get a Relapse reissue. It got a Metal Blade reissue, which is just as good. They do a great job on their releases too. This one still features, of course, Chuck, and you got Gene on drums, and then you got a different guitar player and bass player on this one. Oh, here we go. Here is the inner. So you got a Kelly Conlon on bass, and then a Bobby Coble, if I'm pronouncing that right, on guitar. If I remember, I read something about him. He's all over the board. He does jazz stuff and, you know, this technical, you know, kind of death metal stuff with the band Death. Here's the inner on the other side. You're never going to read that, but that's what it features. Decently, very, very nice job by Metal Blade. And if I show you the back cover, some great tracks on here. Zero Tolerance, Empty Words, 1000 Eyes, the absolute classic Crystal Mountain, Misanthrope, Perennial Quest. This is just solid top to bottom. And, you know, if you have a different, a favorite Death album, I mean, God, they're all so good. This one came on white vinyl on Metal Blade. Same on both sides. Whatever, it doesn't matter what color it is to me. But anyways, great album. And that is it for this update. As always, thanks for stopping by. I had a little trouble with my last video with the comments section. All the comments went away for about a day, and then they just reappeared. So I hope that's just a small glitch or whatever. And that's it, guys. And until next time, stay heavy.